Hello, everybody. Welcome to our December 2024 Learn, Do, Grow, Repeat. I am excited about what we're going to do today. Never before done, so who knows how it's going to turn out. Just but it will be some fun. So, with me, in case we don't know each other, as I said, I'm Annie Brock, and I am president of the Leader Transition Institute. And I am grateful to have two of my primary sidekicks with me today. And they are, when I call them sidekicks, that's only because they are like beside me, not because they are less. Altogether, we are one. We're missing one of our core team today, but Jose Velasquez, thank you for being on. Today, and Matt Sivasek is with us too, and he's half with us and half somewhere else. As you know, when your truck has a transmission problem and you need to drive from the north to the south, you got to get the transition problem fixed.
Oh boy. It happens to the best of us, you know.
That's exactly right. But with today's technology, he didn't have to miss out. So he's there and he'll pop on with us off and on. And here he is. Oh, you got your truck back, Wynn. We're to be inside it. Yay. So welcome, Matt. Thank you for being with us today. We're going to talk, and we have a couple people that have said they wanted to be on to participate in our ugly sweater contest. So we're going to talk a little bit first about stress, and we'll push the contest to the end, and that way it'll give people plenty of time to look at our wonderful sweaters. Matt, can you maybe scan your phone down so people can see how great your sweater looks so they can be contemplating it? Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'll just, Jose, stand up here.
So all right, hold on.
See, we want to
first
see
of
your
all,
light.
the hat. This is a free
got a hat.
Merry Christmas, y'all. And then here we go. You guys ready for this? Oh, it has lights. It has lights.
That's beautiful.
That's right. Little lights.
So I'm just going to do a quick show here. Quick review.
That's a nice one.
And all of this is giving us some happiness. We're on together. We're talking about some silly kind of things, doing some bonding, getting to know each other. Because I didn't know that that one of our members would show up with a non-Christmas sweater as an ugly sweater, but it's perfect. I'm not criticizing. It's just a part of his personality that I wouldn't have guessed. But I love it. And so this is a learning and bonding experience. But what we want to talk about is stress. We all deal with a lot of stress over the holidays, and that comes in to taking away our, it can come in to take away our joy. And so I want to talk a little bit about joy and happiness, or happiness and joy. People who have come through Changing Focus, Moving from We to Me, understand that we talk about the difference between success and significance in that program. Success is the concrete things that you achieve. You achieve them generally for yourself, and they're not always very permanent things. Success and the feelings of success can be fleeting. What's more important is significance. And when you create significance, then you are creating something for the long term. And generally, significance affects people outside of us as individuals. And so while we generally need a fair amount of success in our lives to be ready to create something of significance, so we want to have them both. Significance, because that's the legacy that we leave behind. That is really what we all should be striving for. And so I want to talk about happiness and joy in that same way for a few minutes. Happiness is generally fleeting moments like this. We're together, we're laughing, we're joking, we're having some fun, we're generally happy. Although, I've been around my fair share of people that I know have not necessarily been happy, but they're good at faking it. And so, but it's in the moment. Joy is what's inside you, and it's contentment. It's feeling good about where you are, about what you're doing in your life, about who you're with. And that's something that stays with you. And you can have bad days and be unhappy, but still have joy. And I'm just going to throw it to Jose and Matt. Any comments on that before we go further?
I'll jump in. Yeah, I absolutely. That's it. It's kind of like the other extreme side is, you can be happy or sad. You can be joyful or depressed, right? Depression is when the joy has been. You can have happy moments while you're depressed, but you still don't have joy in your life,
Right.
right? And so being able to find that and continuously, have those moments that you can remember, because we also get what we focus on. I can focus on, as I tell everybody, I can focus on all the red lights when I'm driving, or I can focus on all the green lights. If I walk away with all the green lights in my memory and the things that have gone well, then that's going to feed my joyfulness. If I walk away with all the red lights, it's going to take away from my joyfulness. And so what you focus on makes a huge impact on whether we're joyful or depressed.
I love that.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. I mean, you look at everybody doing their New Year's resolutions, and the few people who succeed are those people who are going to make it beyond that initial emotion. In January, as that's it. This is the year. This is the year I'm going to be Mr. Olympia. I 55 years. I'm still working on that. But what I'll say is, that you get that initial, surge in the gym for the first 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, everybody's gone because it stopped being fun when everything started hurting, and those early mornings started really hitting, and you're like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it a few days from now. But the people who do succeed are those people that have that ability to continue uh, that desire to reach their goals long beyond the emotion. And that's kind of the way I see, the joy and the happiness. Happiness can be fleeting, but joy is something that, you can purposely choose to have. You have an impact on it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we're going to focus on stress because that really affects our joy, our ability to have joy. Because even when we're stressed, we have moments of happiness. But let's talk about, because a lot of people are dealing with a lot of stress over the holidays, and the three of us are not immune from that. We all have our stressors. And so, Jose, I'm going to talk about it I'd like you to talk about joy from the perspective of the things that you do with your family, because I know that you are a Christmas guy. I don't. And the holiday is really important to you. The fun and the joy and the happiness that the holiday brings. What do you do with your family? The tasks that you do with your family that for the holidays.
Yeah. So many of what we do, some of the things we do are, really traditions that we started when we were, when my family was young. And I would actually say even before, because of course I carried some of this over from when I was a child and when my wife was a child as well. And so when we merged, although we were both Hispanic, we came from two different countries, two different cultures. And so we melded those into one, and we have our own unique culture now, just us. But as the kids, came into the picture, we began to develop traditions. We buy the Advent calendar every single year, and my kids are one is in his 30s, one is in his late 20s. They get an Advent calendar every year, and I don't think they care until I don't send one. And then, okay, where's my Advent calendar? I'm like, you're 31 years old. But I didn't even know they cared anymore. But they do. They love those because they became part of our routine for the holidays. And that in and of itself, the routines that we maintained over time were the things that carried us through. And there are good years, there are bad years. As service members, all of us had times when we had to deploy or be somewhere else for the holidays, and many of our viewers as well, and we couldn't be home. And so there's that special desire to be with family for many of us. I
Mhm.
understand not everybody, but for many of us to be home. And so for me, what I always chose to do is when I could be home, it wasn't every year for sure. When I could be home, I wanted it to be the very, very best set of memories I could make. And so when I did that through tradition and through, kind of sharing that with my kids and watching them now as adults continue those traditions with their families, that's the best thing in the world.
I love that. I love that. Tradition is really important. And one of the things that I want to say is because that not just that I want to say, but that I should say, we need to say, is that not everybody is celebrating holidays during this time of the year. But I think the things that we're talking about and the traditions, the traditional Judeo-Christian traditions that get celebrated at this time of the year, I think that anybody can partake in some way, shape, or form, regardless of whether they are faith-based or not, and find some enjoyment from it and find some happiness from it, because you don't have to be a Christian to drive around and see the light displays in a community and have fun doing that, because first of all, most of the light displays aren't faith-based in the first place. But and you can get together with family. You don't have to give gifts, and if you choose to give gifts, gifts don't have to cost much. There are a lot of things, like you did, Jose, with your family. An advent calendar doesn't cost much, but it's an important thing, and gifts can just be as much as giving your time.
Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
you have you ever over the holidays given like gone out and served people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I am a member of a local church, and I have been throughout my career, one or the other. And wherever I've been, I've absolutely made it a point to try and reach out, be with members of the community that may not have as much as I do, and serve them and make sure that, for me, of course, I do have a tie to my Christian religion, and so I believe if there ever is a time, and it should be every day, but if there ever is a time for me to remember how lucky I am in my life and how blessed I am, it's this time of the year where I really focus on giving, and so spending some time in my community and helping those who at one point I was like, and so I feel that incredible connection to the good people who may just be in a situation in their lives right now, a season, I hope, where my giving will help them and inspire them, hopefully, so that someday down the road they can do the same for others.
Awesome. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on tradition
Um,
and helping others?
I was, I was going to say something about slaves to tradition and be totally anti, but no,
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
no, I was joking. I think tradition is important. It grounds us to and connects us with those around us, and it connects us to our past, which past meaning history and where we came from, our roots. And I think that's all really important in our humanity. I mean, why else are we on this in this universe if not but to commune with everybody, both in our present and remembering the past. So traditions are very powerful ways to ground us, and that excites me. I also think that, like the advent calendar, that's a beautiful thing, and it is funny how we come to rely on those things again to ground us,
Mhm.
and remind us, of who we are, especially in the dark moments when we feel alone. Tradition is a very powerful thing to remove loneliness
Mhm.
from our lives, and so all that so the anti piece of me is about being slave to traditions, and it's okay to change things too,
Mhm.
and that's okay, because in my life I'm that guy that, like, once I get focused on something, that I have to do it right, and so traditions can be that for me at a cost.
Mhm.
um and I think the big thing for me on that is not letting the performative nature of things override the communal and connective value of it. And that's an important piece of tradition is the tradition that we make it exactly this way or do it exactly this way, or is the tradition that we spend time together doing this thing, or like a Christmas tree is a great example. My joke there is you don't have to be a pagan to have a Christmas tree. It's okay, right? I mean, it's a tradition that most of us, at least in the United States and plenty of other places around the world, have just come to do, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And it's a great fixture in the house, and I think, Jose, you put it real nicely. This is a great time of year to really, Thanksgiving leads us in to Christmas from our U.S. holiday perspective, and those are both very powerful reminders of what's important in our life, and that's the people like you and Annie that are in my life, that just let us know that love exists. So thank you.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. So, Jose, any more thoughts on things that you do with your family that you want to just throw out there, or things that somebody might consider to do with their family?
Well, surely, for folks that, and you noted this earlier, is a lot of times we're this world in modern 2024, we focus so much on material things, and it is not uncommon for people to give children 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, $100 bills. But actually, kids don't even want cash money anymore. They want everything electronic now. Give me a gift card. Give me a gift. And don't get me wrong. If someone is in a position where they want to do that and it's right for their family, I surely don't want to discount that. But what I'll say is some of the greatest memories that I have and my children have told me they had was when they were little kids. We lived in Alexandria, Virginia, and we would drive around the really nice neighborhoods close to Fort Belvoir, which is an installation, a military installation there. And it was free. We'd drive around and go buy some hot cocoa somewhere, very inexpensive. And we'd go to the little free festivals that they would have. And some of our greatest memories were just tied to jumping in the car with the kids and driving up and down these beautiful streets and seeing all the lights. And with lights we couldn't afford, but we didn't need them. We could drive around and enjoy them and laugh and, listen to Christmas music and just spend a lot of time being together. And for me, those are the most important things. And so I just encourage people, if you're open to the idea, consider, beyond material items, because again, material things, look, nobody remembers that one electronic thing that's going to go out of style within 6 months, but people do remember how they felt. And if you can leave them with something, powerful that they feel, it can last a lifetime.
If I can add, because Jose, that was great, because I always am reminded, Annie brings it up in changing focus, and we talk about it. What is the most valuable thing that any of us has, and it's our time.
Mm-hmm.
And so giving our time to those around us is really one of the greatest forms of love you can show somebody. And I'm with you on the material things and money, right? And I've taken the lazy way out sometimes, I'd call it. But I will tell you, the best gifts I've ever gotten, besides people's time, is things that they came across and they go, "That's Matt," or "That's how I think of Matt," or "That reminded me of Matt." And those, no matter how small or how big, those are the best gifts I've ever gotten. And again, because probably with analyzing a little bit, because they were thinking about me, they were spending time on me, and that means, to my deeper self, that I matter, and we all want to matter. We need to. So thanks.
And Matt, thank you. And that's really without your. I know you didn't consciously think of this, not because you wouldn't, because you probably would, but maybe you did. But that's a great segue into what I had asked you to think about, because you're always to talk about today, because you're always really good at interacting with people and dealing with prickly people. So. That's my way of I think to call them. How do we deal with the prickly people in our lives over the holidays? Is do we just avoid them? Is that really just, and if so, how do we avoid them?
You know, avoidance is one form of what's called conflict resolution. There's all lot of other forms, right? And obviously, if they're prickly and they're, it feels like they're hurting us, that is a conflict. And so that makes sense. And I'm not going to tell people don't avoid people. I mean, you have to do what you can do. But I think the thing that I work towards, and when I'm talking to people about, well, you know, they're just really abrasive and you just want them to keep taking their punches. And no, I don't want the punches to land, because most of the time they're not about you. And so that's the biggest thing about dealing with prickly people is no, it's ultimately it's not about you. I mean, it may be something that brought it out for them, but that's not really what it is. It's like the old marital fight about socks on the floor. It's never really socks on the floor, right? So it's not about you. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, once I can realize it's not about me, especially, and I practice this with people that you know, are rude that I don't know that well, or prickly that I don't know what that well, because I don't have my backstory running to really kind of make it really complicated and difficult. So I try to get, you know, curious about, well, okay, why are they so mad, or why are they so prickly, or what's going on? And the more you ask questions, and really want to understand or care for another person, it's really hard for them to stay prickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, and there's other people, Annie and Jose know. I mean, I'll always bring up, there's some people that are just going to be that way, and that is ingrained within them, and that they're just not going to be healthy for you. And then those are the ones I would say, yeah, okay, avoid. Um, and just remember that it's still not about you. So whatever they say or do, um, don't process it internally. Let it float on by. Um, and the last thing I'll say is expectation management is absolutely essential. And expectation management isn't just about lowering your expectations. It's about number one, if you have expectations for other people and they don't know it, you're not managing your expectations. You're just setting things up for failure. So tell people what you expect. For me, the hardest part about that was always, and it took a long time to understand this. If I didn't tell you what I expected, and you didn't do what I expected, I could be hurt, but you didn't. But you didn't deny me. You didn't invalidate me by saying my expectations are not worthy of you. So I was always afraid to express my expectations. But I've gotten too old and too tired that now I'm just going to tell you what I expect. And if you choose not to do that, we can discuss it, because all choices are not conscious. But if you say, you know, hey, what you expected, I'm just not into that. That's not what I'm going to do. Then we can go, okay, then maybe we're not going to work out, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be far less painful, actually, in the long run. Because otherwise I'm just running around afraid. And I hate being afraid. I'm tired of being afraid. So there you go. Any other questions on that, or did I maybe what you wanted?
Yeah, I think that's great, because you've taught us, you've talked to us about the fact that sometimes we when we can, and if it's best for us, that we can avoid people. It's okay to do that. But you've also given us the tools of how, and tips of when we can't avoid, how to embrace the situation and make it better for ourselves. And I think the most important thing that I heard you say, that we tend to violate as human beings, is we take it all really personally. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm not good at that. You know, that I look at things, you know, from that perspective first. But when we just peel the onion back one layer and say, if it wasn't about me, what would it be about?
Yeah.
I think that really helps.
Andy, that's really powerful, because one of the things, because we all know I spend a lot of time on people mindset and the concept of inward and outward mindset. And you know, I'm not going to explain all of it. The bottom line is trying to see people, working to see people as people that matter like I matter. They don't matter more. They don't matter less. And where I was going with that is if it's about, when somebody's mad, if I make it about me and that it's impacting me and it's hurting me, that's very inward, and it limits the options. But the minute I go, well, if it's not about me, what could it be about? It opens the range wide. And what could it be about? What could be causing it now becomes an option, because I don't want to know if I'm causing it. The child me doesn't want to know that, so I'm going to avoid trying to figure that out. And so now it opens up my chance to be curious again, and to really care for another person. And I don't know about you guys, but it is hard to stay mad at somebody who really wants to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's in fact, it can be hard to actually walk away after that conversation because you don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I love it when that transformation has occurred in me, when I've been highly agitated with somebody for no real good reason. And I loved it when it's happened when somebody was upset with me and I was able to get to it. I'm not great at it, but it's high on my list of things that are important to me. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Jose, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would, I guess the only thing I would say, I don't think it's necessarily different. I think it falls within the same vein, but I would say it is a much more common thing today, and probably healthier, that many of us find our voices. Many people are far more open to expressing their emotions and not being as afraid as people might have once been of, pushing people away, or at least setting very hard boundaries with people, to include family, which was used to be taboo. But what I would say is, be there is toxicity, and there are people that you're never going to reach, as Matt said. Being inquisitive and really looking to put yourself to some degree in people's shoes where you can, that's powerful as well. But I would also say, especially when it comes to family and close friends, if there was ever some sort of a connection, some this holiday season, there we can extend some grace to some people who may not necessarily be the best people in the world, or that we might not see them that way. Let me put it that way. But extending a little grace, I always worry about, if we cut everyone off who we either don't like, don't agree with, don't meet our very stringent expectations, we're going to be really lonely, because by the time we're done, it's just going to be us, because we can't control anybody else. And so I fear for our generation, this time in the world, that we don't grant enough people just a little bit of grace. Some people, we've attempted that, and it's just not going to work. But I hope that people don't always give up on everyone else, the moment that they don't meet our expectations. Grace goes a long way, especially this time of the year.
Can I jump in on that? Because I like that, Jose, about the expectations, and what I would add to that, to go with it, is if nobody wants to be around, if we've expressed our expectations to everybody and people are, self-selecting out of our life, we might want to take a look at our expectations. I mean, sometimes they're just a little unrealistic, especially when we talk about disc personality and C's and their expectations, and D's and some of their expectations, and again, I's and S's. I think S's are probably the safest when it comes to expectations. But boy, D's and C's can be really, really challenging. And so yeah, thank you for that, Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for talking about it that way. And Jose, I think that's a very valuable point that you brought up, because that is a thing in today's world, to just cut people out. And I'm not sure that bodes well for our future on this earth, because we depend on each other. And if we've cut everybody out, then when we need people, they may not, we may find nobody's there for us. Yeah. And so that's a really valuable thing. And Matt, you're exactly right to bring it up from the perspective of personalities, is when we can understand who people are, and that comes from learning a little bit, well, caring enough about other people to learn about how to interact with other people, but then using that platinum rule that we talk about talking with people and treating them and interacting with them in the way that they would want it, not in the way that we would want it.
Yep, exactly.
So, thank you. Thank you. I just want to throw in a couple tips on how to get through and talk. And you guys can, I hope you'll chime in on one of the things, some of the things to get through the holidays. Number one, as much as you can, even though the holidays are already upon us, if you haven't thought about how you're going to use your time, particularly maybe if you have some half days, because some organizations go to half work days, half schedules, think about how you can spend that time so that you don't get to the other end of it and say, wow, I had this time and I didn't use it and I wish I had. I'm big on don't be a wish I had. Take some time and think about how you're going to use it. And if you are going to be spending some time with families, I would encourage you to reach out and have some conversations with them before you get there and find out, as Matt said and Jose, what their expectations are of the time that you're going to spend with them, so that then you and they can talk about it ahead of time and be better prepared to meet each other's expectations. I think that will decrease the disappointment, for that. And one of the other things that we tend to do, I've gotten better about it as I've gotten older, and that is burning the candles on both ends during the holidays, because there's so much that we can do and we want to do it all because it all sounds great. And sometimes we have to just give up the good to do the great. So we don't have to participate in all of the holiday activities. Pick the ones that are really important. Get sleep. Don't sleep deprive yourself during this time period. Take advantage of every minute that you do have to rest and recoup yourself, and eat right. I know this is a really hard one to do over the holidays, and it's the holiday tradition that we have given up in our home, because one of the things that we did with the girls is, and I say we because I watched and took pictures, because I'm not the best at this, because I'm not the most patient, but Jeff would do cookies with them, sugar cookies, and do decorating. And the three of them are very detail oriented, and they make these wonderful cookies, and I'm very impatient and it just took too long. So that's, we did it. But those cookies aren't really good for my waistline anymore. And so it doesn't make sense for us to do that now. Now, if our grandchildren came to visit, that'd be the first thing that I would bring back and throw into the mix is let's do some cookies. And I will try to be patient, but Grandpa surely has enough patience to do that. So those are some things that we can take care of when we do that. But I think there's also some things that we can do to manage our stress. And one of the things you've talked about it, both of you, in one way, shape, or form, about boundaries and communication, limiting the time we spend with the prickly people and in those prickly situations, and using there's some things, you can use some breathing techniques. Do healthy breathing. The deep breaths takes, put yourself in timeout, and do some deep breathing exercises, or maybe pull out a YouTube video and try some yoga. There's chair yoga out there. There's wall yoga. There's every kind of yoga. You don't have to be a yogi with a yogi to do that. To take some time for yourself. And I can't say, one of the things to me that is most important for everybody during the holidays is, it is not wrong to take time for yourself. You are not being stingy to take some time for yourself. And so I hope that those things are helpful. Matt and Jose, do you have some tips or management tech things, ideas?
I would say if you are the kind of person that runs out of batteries in social settings, that plan some time in between events so that you can, go and spend that time, re-energizing. You know, I'm a very social person, and people who meet me would never know that I'm not a full 100% extrovert, because in public I'm just having the best time, and I really am, but I run out of energy. And so by the end of the night, I'm not full of energy like certain people that have an I style in the disc method, who just gain energy from other people. I guess I just give. That's, I guess, how I feel. And at the end of the day, there's not much left inside of me, so I've got to go kind of hide out and recharge. And so this time of the year, because we're so busy, and as Annie noted, just maybe planning some time for yourself, if that's an issue with you, to be in a place where you can recharge your batteries before you go on to the next event.
I love that. Thank you. Matt, you want to throw anything out there?
I think my theme word in recent even weeks and months and to help into the holidays is just, just the saying to myself, just stop. If I feel myself getting agitated or about a gift that I'm trying to find, or I'm going out in the public, just stop. And I don't mean whatever it is I'm focused on, just step aside and focus on something else. Different techniques people have. You just take a moment. Like, I'm sitting outside. There's plenty of things to look at to ground me in this moment. And if I can just stop and ground myself in the moment, and set aside all the worry and set aside all the rush and the hustle, and if I'm getting overwhelmed by another person, just stop and take a break. Like you said, take time for me. Stop fighting for whatever it is. In traffic, that's one that is a common theme I always bring up for myself. Just stop, and I'll do it. I got to tell you, man, that we have an Avalon, and it has a radar cruise on it. And when I'm feeling myself getting aggressive in a hurry, man, I just turn on the radar cruise and move over in the right lane and don't look at the speedometer. I just stop, and it helps so much. So that's my addition to this.
I love that. Both of those, spot on. Thank you very much. So we are going to go into our ugly sweater contest, and unfortunately, we had a couple of other contestants who were going to join us, but they have had to miss. So we're going to do this. So we'll give you all everybody a chance to view everybody. So Matt, since you jumped up there, make sure that you stand up big and proud and explain to everybody why your ugly sweater should be the winner of this contest.
Well, that's easy. My ugly sweater is the ugliest sweater you could find for Christmas. It's a beautiful sweater, maybe for Thanksgiving, possibly for Halloween, but for Christmas, it is the ugliest sweater that I could find. It's definitely not as beautiful as the sweaters you're going to see next.
Oh.
Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, Jose, it's your turn.
All right. So we threw the numbers in: 1 for Annie, 2 for Matt, and 3 for me. So go ahead and text Annie. Annie put up the phone number, but let me tell you about mine. Mine is literally scary, literally ugly. It has lights, as you can tell, and of course, Merry Christmas, y'all. So that's what I got. Again, I'm number 3.
Okay.
Go for 3.
Okay, so here goes. This is my ugly sweater, and it's a little big. It's comfortable, and I will fess up that my husband actually bought this for me, thinking I'd wear it out in public, and I guess this is about as public as you can get. But it's the only public I'm going to wear it in. So I'm number 1, but I don't need to be number 1 on this contest. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is we have the phone number up there. That's our LTI phone number. Go ahead and text your vote there. Because I know that some people will catch this recording later, we're not going to declare a winner right now. We're going to declare a winner tomorrow morning after it's been up for 24 hours. And oh, poor Matt. I think we want to, and you can reach out to your friends, tell them, hey, go watch our video, go vote, and let your voice be heard.
That's right.
So
just
thank you
always
guys for humoring me today with our ugly sweater contest. And I think we've had a good discussion about stress. And our next Learn, Do, Grow, Repeat will be in 2025 on January 28th. Again, it's the fourth Tuesday of the month at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you all. Be safe over the holidays. Spend some time with family and friends if you can, if that's a good place for you to be. Most of all, just take some time to be present, find some joy, and I hope you find some happiness along the way as well. So thank you, Jose and Matt, for being on with me. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you in 2025.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.